my PowerPoint slides, which is just a quick presentation to run through. So we'll be going through that today with some brief demos of basically what the library is all about and how it can help you. This is my contact details here. So we've got the whole library team who's here to help you. But it's just I look after your particular subject area. So it's not that I've got any specialist knowledge of the subject, but it's more that I'm the member of the team who's familiar with the kinds of resources which you'll be using for throughout your courses. So when it comes to something like you've got an essay, you need to be able to locate some materials for it. We can sit down and go through that. So I'm sort of there with that kind of research support side of things. I should say, at the moment, I'm kind of in between. I'm doing some working from home, hence me being remote at the moment, but also I'm on campus as well. So whichever is your preference for meeting in person or remote, we can be very flexible there. Up to you really. Okay, so just want to cover today some basics about the library, getting access to our resources, so logins and things like that, and then actually doing some literature searching. So leaving today with having a quick introduction of how to actually use the library to get those materials you want, and then you'll be up and running. I'll mention referencing very quickly, and also getting help and support, and chance for questions at the end as well. I think that's probably the best way to do it. So yeah, it's just going to be a quick run through. Let's see what we've got. So yeah, at the end, with the library basics, what we want to make sure is that you're coming away with an awareness of the key services and facilities that the library offers and how to make use of them. So what's available. And then with this literature searching, we break it down. We're going to look at when you just know a topic and you want to find more about it, help you with that. But also when you know the particular source you want. So that was going to happen from time to time. You know, your module leaders are going to give you reading lists and recommend you books. So we'll need to be able to do that as well. What happens if you want something that's not in stock? Talk about that. I'll mention about the cite them right referencing style very quickly. When you come to in your essays and assignments, tell the reader where you've got your material from, and that's referencing. And also, yeah, coming away with solid awareness of how to get help and support. So yeah, so support with your research and projects. As I said, that's me, and my contact details are on the intranet, but they're on the first slide as well, so you know how to get in touch. Physical library. Your university ID card is your library card, and you need that to get into the libraries. Once you're in, you use that for borrowing items, and we've got the self-service machines, which members of staff in the library can help you with, but they work pretty much like the supermarket checkout. And we've actually got some new ones this year, and they're much easier, I find. And also, once you're in the library, once you're in the library, then you'll be able to use our tech. So the computers in there for word processing and whatever you need them for. And then we've also got devices that do printing, photocopying and scanning. Just a heads up, the printing and the photocopying is a charged service because of the ink and the paper, but the scanning is free. And we can explain how those work. But, you know, if you're in the library, you can be sat down on a computer, send your document to print, or you can do that from a laptop, from your own laptop and send it to print on the cloud. Opening hours and staffed hours, I'll just show you those. They're on the library intranet. So I'll talk you through how to get there in a moment. But once we're here, we've got the opening hours, and it's a bit complicated in the way because we've got the building opening hours, the help desk opening hours. So that's when a human being is here to help you. And then the online support hours. So that's where you can go to here and see this chat facility and just get help remotely. Or outside of those hours, you can always just email us. So there's remote support, in-person support, and the actual just using the building. So from the 18th of October, that's 24/7. So you can, come and use the building whenever suits you. So these change at vacations and things like that. So they're always here. So if you want to know the opening hours, you can just check there, or ask us if you're not sure. Yeah, okay. So when you come into borrowing books, you can keep borrowing, and it caps out at 15 books. And these books can be borrowed for at least a week. But what happens is if no one else wants that book, they just renew automatically. So it's not like you have to be checking every Monday morning, oh, do I need to bring my books back this week or anything like that. You just keep them as long as you want. We will email you if one of your colleagues has requested the book, and that's when they have a fixed due date and they need to be returned, or there's fines. And as I say, self-service machines for the borrowing and returning. But basically, once you get in the swing of things, you'll have books on your account and they will be renewing from week to week. Okay, so moving on to access. Everything is on the library intranet. That's really kind of our place that you need to go to. So that's what it looks like. It's this turquoise scheme. And to get to it, you can just go to Google or on the browser and just type in intranet.uel.ac.uk. Did I put that in the slides? I think I did. Yeah. Intranet.uel.ac.uk. And that will take you through to the intranet. And there you go. And then you can go students and library. So everything is in one place for you really there. Just to give you a kind of a map. So we do have the library website. If you reach us through Google, you'll probably come to that. But there's not much on there really. So you want to get across into the library intranet. There is a link actually from the library website if you need it. Yeah, so that's all about getting in. Now for accessing, because our library resources, they're not just for the general public, it's part of your tuition fee, what you get in return for being a student at UEL. So we need to, there needs to be a way to show that you're from UEL, and that's done by these login screens. They'll pop up at different times, depending on what your browser settings are and what have you. But I'm just going to go through these login screens, and then if you see them, you'll know what you need to do. So this one here, nice and simple. Just you and your student number at uel.ac.uk. So that's your username and your email address actually as well. Intranet password is the same as your Moodle IT. If you've not got that yet, don't panic. IT will be giving you that. I'm not quite sure how far along you are in that process, but you get your IT password and that's that. Then there's two more screens, which are these Open Athens. Now, Open Athens is basically just the system which provides login access. It's the system we use. But the only thing is, just a slight that can confuse someone if they're new. Some universities use Open Athens accounts, but we don't do that. So it's nice and simple at UEL. You just have your IT login and that's everything. So if you see this option, ignore Open Athens account and just type in University of East London in the box there, and then you can click our name from the link. Same here, if you see this one here, ignore the Open Athens account and click UEL. And that should get you in by and large to our systems. Any issues whatsoever, speak to the library and our team can help you get through if there's any issues there. Okay, so let's actually start to use the library. Just to break it down, what you're basically doing is getting some keywords together, just as you would do if you were, using Google. But there's a couple of places that I want to talk you through, which will be able to retrieve interesting resources, hopefully, for you. Library search and the databases. So library search is just a search box. It's nothing fancy. If you typed in a search term in there, you're going to find books and journals and ebooks and e-journals, so just electronic format. Journals we'll talk more about later, but they're basically an academic publication, like an academic magazine. So the title stays the same, and in each issue there are different articles. And so it's like, you know, like a newspaper, like The Guardian, but in every issue, instead of news articles, they're academic articles. You'll see that, but right now I just want to focus on books and ebooks. So if you put in a search, that's what a book looks like. That's a print book and an ebook. You see there it says available at, that means it's a print, and online means it's an ebook. I'll just do another demo here. So here's library search. If I were to do research methods, just as an example, this book here is an ebook because it says available online. Whereas this one here, we have to click this to just that's the chat, by the way, if you want to get help, that pops up. If you want to see the information there, you click that link and you can see this one. You've got the choice there. It's available at Stratford, so it's in print, but it's also available online. It varies. Sometimes it's online, sometimes it's in print. It's just what happens to be the case. If it's an ebook, let's do print first. If it's a print book, say this one here, I would just check it's available, so 3 available, go into the library and pick that off the shelf using that number there. So it's a number and a letter, 001.42 WAL, and that will locate it on the shelf. If you ask one of us in the library, we can guide you towards that spot. That's just this organizing system we have, and then you could go and borrow that book. If it's on loan, you would just sign in up here using your standard IT login. It remembers me because I've signed in before, and then you would click on the book, and then you could click request, and then you could request that. Or if it was a book at Stratford, you could request it and then we bring it over for you. And when it's requested, it gets put on the reservation shelf and you get an email and you have 7 days to collect it. But all your books will be at Docklands, so you won't need to worry about that too much unless you want a book that happens to be at Stratford. Ebooks, click the title, and then a link should pop up. Now, I do apologise in a way because for user friendliness, you see all this information, it can be a bit difficult because you're thinking, well, what do I click? There's so many links. In general, you want to be zooming in on whatever says something like view online, and there'll be a clickable link. You'll get the hang of this, but when you're using these systems, you're looking for that click to view online, full text access, view, download, something like that with a click. So that's not clickable. So immediately below, I'm going to click that. And then we get taken through to the web page of that ebook. So you can now download it or read online. And then you're into the ebook. So that's it for ebooks. Now, at this stage in the presentation, normally people are quite curious about downloading ebooks because I think if you download it, then it's kind of a security thing. You've got it and you don't need to worry about going back into the system. The download is not always available though, because some publishers don't allow it. And even when they do, they often only allow it for 24 hours or 7 days. And even when you've got it, the interface isn't quite as good as the read online. So to be honest with you, unless you were going somewhere where you didn't have the internet, I would just stick to the read online, to be honest, because you don't have to worry about downloading any software. You can just read online and then you're straight in. Sometimes we make a book available just to preview, and then if someone wants it, we buy it for the library. So in that case, the read online might not be clickable, and you might just see a click for access or request or something like that. And that sends an email to the team and I, and then we buy it, and we usually will be able to buy it. But that's the gist of it. So you basically using library search, searching for whatever you're interested in, and you're going into the books or the ebooks. Because it's not like Google, where it can pick out a web page that mentions your word on the 15th page. It's really only looking for that title and maybe the author field. So if you're typing your whole essay title in here, you know, so if it was forensic computing or whatever it is, forensic computing in the public sector, security threat, or whatever it is, if you were typing all your essay title in, it won't tend to find much, because the system is trying to find something which has all these words in, and it won't do it unless there was a book called that. So when you're searching in library search for your essays, you've got to do a bit of guesswork, and you've got to say, what might the book be called that I'm looking for? So it's a bit of common sense. So I might think, okay, well, probably this book's called Forensic Computing. And then I can see something there. There might be a book called Digital Forensics. Kind of experimenting, but you're not typing your whole essay in. You're using those keywords, and that will give you different results each time. So play around with it. Try different combinations, and this is very much what I can help you with. And there you can see lots of results coming through. Okay, moving swiftly on. This is just in the slides for your reference. If you're using the databases, each database is like a library in itself. So this database, maybe Science Direct, maybe has 5 million articles in from maybe 2,000 of those academic journals I mentioned earlier. And this one over here, maybe the you guys are computing, so if it was maybe ACM, that's a computing database. Or if you were maybe for any engineering students who are watching this later, we have an engineering database over here, Institute of Civil Engineers. So depending on what you're interested in, will determine the databases which you use. Over here, we might have a medical database, which you'll never really be using. And so you need to basically work out which is the best database for you. And to do that, just go to this link here. So I'm just going to type that in. And then you can go to your, and I've got this in the slides, select your subject support page. So that's over here. And then what you would do is you choose your subject. So our area, we're architecture, computing and engineering. And then you could choose your subject. So we'll do computing for now, but you know, sometimes if any engineers are watching this later, they would pick whatever other subject they're interested in. Or if you were doing a project that had some sort of engineering aspect, you would look in here and you could see those databases. But just for sake of argument, let's have a look at computing. And then you get your recommended databases. So I could go into one of these, for example, IEEE. And then we see all the databases beginning with I, so we can see IEEE there. Off or on campus. And then now we're in one of these databases. So we've chosen one of them. And this is a good one for computing and engineering, actually. It's across the piece. But if we were to try forensic computing, spelling mistake there, forensic computing, and I could be quite specific here. because with the databases, it will dig around a bit more in the full text if you ask it to. And you're going to see there over 1,500 results, which are these journal articles by and large. So you can start to click these if you wanted. And then you can download it there. It's just a very quick tour. I can help you this at any point, but that's basically the gist of it. So this is now downloaded on my computer, and that's a journal article. Just to show you a different way through, there's always many ways to do this. If you're on the library here, you can go to Finding Resources and Support by Subject. And then you can choose your area. So we did computing, and you're at that page again. But basically, if you can use library search and find some books, and then you can go into a couple of databases to find your journal articles, and you really nearly cracked it. So while you've got time, while before the work sets in, while you've got this time, I would really strongly encourage you to try and get in and just locate an ebook and just read it and just make sure you can do it, and try and go into that subject support page for your area. So computing, for example, and locate an article. And then once you've done that, you've done it, and then it will bed into your mind a bit more, at least if you learn anything like I do. So I would recommend that just to consolidate what we've had a look at. Right, okay. If you know the source you want, what you can do is you would just go into library search and you would type that in. So maybe imagine I've got a reading list and my tutor tells me to look at this book, Research Methods by Kulikan. Well, I could put that in and it shows up there. Or if you're looking for a particular journal article, you could put there the journal of whatever it is, educational psychology, and that will show up there. So for particular resources, just type in the journal title or the book title in library search. I'm whizzing through because we only got a short session today. Just to flag up very quickly, if there's ever something you want that's not in stock, we have schemes whereby you can request that book. So either interlibrary loan, where we borrow it from another library, or more books, where if it's a book, we can buy it for the library for you. But basically, if there's ever anything that you can't find, just let me know and I can advise you. It's not the end of the road, basically, if it's not in stock. So the reason why this stuff is so important is because the materials in our databases and in our library are chosen often by your tutors for being the most relevant and high quality resources. There's some good stuff on the internet, but there's a lot of not very good stuff at all. So while you've got access to all these resources, on the whole, we would recommend going to our stuff first. Sometimes people are scared of the library because they're not sure how to use it, so they think, I'll just use Google. Don't do that. Come and see me and I'll help you, because you'll be missing out on so much otherwise. Yeah, when it comes to your essays, you need to basically show the marker where you've got your sources from. And when it comes to doing that, there's this style that we use. It's called Cite Them Right. And that will tell you how to reference a particular book. So this is all a bit abstract for the moment, but if I was to type in Cite Them Right, it comes up as an ebook. And this is the style. So at UEL, we use Cite Them Right. So you can go into this ebook. It's more like a website, but you can treat it like an ebook. And it will tell you how to reference a book, a printed book, or how to reference if you used a website in your essay. And basically what it does is it just tells you the information that you need to put in your essay, so the reader knows, okay, I know they've got that from this book. Because if you don't do that, it gives the false impression that it's your own idea and that's plagiarism. So cite them right is the way to do this referencing. This will come up, your tutors will mention it, but cite them right is the way to go, and I can help you with that. Help and support, as I said at the start, you've got my email for any research support, any general things, borrowing a book, finding a book, whatever it might be. You've got our whole team who you can chat with as an email or speak to us at the help desk. We're on social media as well to keep up to date with the latest updates. But yeah, and if you're registered with the Disability and Dyslexia Service, we have machines with enhanced capabilities as well, and actually extended loan periods for books. You can inquire at the library for more details about that too. But that process will begin by getting registered with the Disability and Dyslexia Service at the Student Hub. Right, I apologize if we did whiz through that, but I want